Okay, good afternoon. I'm Mary Pat McKee. I'm a publisher of a magazine called Indy Boomer, and I am sitting here today with Jane Malkoff with Malkoff and Hughes, and we're going to talk to her in just a few minutes about what they do, and it's really quite interesting. I'm very impressed. Anyway, but I want to do a couple things. First thing is to thank Jim Wofford and the Wofford Theater for allowing us to have the show every week. Actually, we will start being every week. On Wednesday mornings, and then we will live stream on Hamilton County Radio at 6:30 Monday through Friday, so you can hear the show as well as see it. Anyway, we want to talk a little bit about our November issue. It's kind of hard to see. It's Reverend Charles Harrison, who is with the 10-Point Coalition, who is doing quite a bit in Indianapolis to try and stop some of the violence that's going on in the communities down there. And there we go from there. Jane and, well, will you and Sharon be writing articles for Boomer next year, or just you?
It'll be a joint effort.
It'll be a joint effort.
Yes.
She's going to be writing us articles about reversed roles. And I want to, at this point, Jane, kind of elaborate, tell people what is Malkoff and Hughes and what do you guys do?
Certainly. I am a geriatric care consultant. I'm a nurse practitioner by training, but my work is primarily in geriatric care management. So what that means is I'm a resource in the community, so that would be Hamilton County, Marion County, surrounding counties, for any issues facing families who have an older adult working through health problems, choices of where to live, living at home, is it time to move from home, medical crises, any type of issue facing older adults, and how to help guide people through those issues so they're not alone, so that they have support through that, and so that we're not filtering everything about the older adults simply through a healthcare problem, but through a human being.
A holistic approach, would that be safe to say?
Very much so.
Okay.
So everything from the medical approach to the pet care, the selection of a home care team, how to pay for services, how to know which facility to choose, how to know which rehab to choose, how to get what you want out of your doctor's appointments, and how to really look into quality of care issues so that we don't lose sight of the person in the midst of their illnesses and struggles.
Right. And there are very few, if any, that I even know of, that actually do what you guys do. I mean, how are you different from some?
There are people that call themselves geriatric care managers, and we do have some good geriatric care managers in the community. The piece that's different is the length of time that I've been doing geriatric care management.
20 years or?
20 plus years.
20 plus years.
And my experience as a nurse practitioner and the nurses that work, my business partner, Sharon Hughes, who's an RN, and our associates that work for us. And so I also have a long-standing history of professional relationships with many elder care experts in the community.
Yes.
So I've been very well connected in the community for many, many years. I'm not a franchise coming through. I know the community. I love the community.
Right.
And what makes us different is being involved in the community and also not being afraid of getting in there and helping in a crisis and not being worried about our egos as much as we are helping the family solve the problem.
Right. Well, and last time we had the show, I had Jill on from Cardon, and we were talking about that conversation. How we talked about, which I think is interesting, how many people get behind the 8 ball. Would you say of scenarios where you are called in, you and Sharon are called in to help, how many people are like in a traumatic, they're like, oh my goodness, we got to move, we got to do something with mom and dad?
Yeah, I would say probably 80 to 85% of all of our cases are people who are suddenly dealing with what has been coming.
Right.
And suddenly it's a crisis.
Yes.
And so we move in that crisis mode often to help people make sound decisions, because being a primary caregiver, family member for a loved one is extremely difficult. It takes many hours out of a person's already hectic schedule. So we support those caregivers in that time of crisis. And we probably have between 10 and 15% of people that come to us ahead of time to say, I want to plan ahead for my retirement or for the needs of my mother.
A very small percentage. You know, that is one thing that I hope Indy Boomer is able to kind of do in 2015, is to let people know, have that conversation. Don't wait till you're behind the eight ball.
Yes.
I can give a true testimonial for Jane because, again, the reason that Boomer started was my parents. We were behind the eight ball and just amazed with all the different things you had to know. And Jane was able to come in and help my brother and sister and myself understand what we needed to do. And again, like you said, not just in a health way, but for instance, the Medicare or Medicaid, all that scenario, and the Social Security and different things you had to do. So, you know, to be quite honest, without Jane, I'm not sure we'd probably still be struggling, seriously.
Oh, well, I think you could have figured it out.
No, I don't know.
It just
we would have
helps to
figured it out wrong and then had to redo it, and then that would have been even more frustrating. Because like you said, it's a very frustrating thing when you're trying to figure out how to take care of your folks.
It is, and you're trying to make decisions quickly. Maybe the hospital is discharging quickly. You have to make a decision about rehab quickly. Maybe there's dementia and there's safety issues or medication issues, or mom or dad wants to stay at home. Maybe the resources aren't there, or maybe they are, but you don't know whether they're safe at home. Is it okay for them to be at home? What are the risks you can take? How do you weigh that out? And you have sort of a sounding board to kind of hold your hand and walk through that process.
Well, do you find safety is the main reason that people need to move from their homes into retirement facilities?
I think it's one of the main reasons.
Okay.
I think that safety with medications
that's true.
So we have safety issues, hygiene issues. We have roaming issues
With the dementia. Yeah.
We have socialization issues, and with each family, it's different how we're going to approach that. Is this a situation where being in the home and putting support in around the home makes most sense?
Right.
Or is this a situation where being inside a community assisted living or long-term care environment really would make more sense? And so we get to be sort of a neutral but professional and educated voice to help the family sort that out.
Well, and the other thing too that I really like about your what do you call it? An agency? Are you
we call it a care management firm.
Okay, but the thing I like is that you are not persuaded by any of the facilities or any of the home health folks that would come in to take care of. You make those decisions based on that person's need.
Yeah, part of our responsibility is to know the pulse of what's going on in the community and know which services are doing the best job.
Right.
And we do not take kickback from anybody.
Right. I think that's great. So we know it's objective. Hey, great information. We're going to come back in about couple minutes and talk some more.
Great.
Thanks.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
On the screen. And I think we might. Are we back? We're back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Indy Boomer Show. I'm Mary Pat McKee. I publish a magazine called Indy Boomer, and I'm sitting here this afternoon with Jane Malkoff, who is with Malkoff. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Malkoff and Hughes.
Malkoff and Hughes. See, it sounds like I got German or something.
It's a
in
Russian thing, Malkoff.
Oh, I have been to the Kiev. So anyway, I'm just teasing. Anyway, Jane, tell us, how do people get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is to dial my cell phone number directly.
Okay.
It is 317-979-3700. We also have an office phone, 774-0074. You can press option 1 for me. We have a website at www.malkoffandhughes.com. That's MALKOFFANDHUGHES.com. And we have a website, email attached to the website, which is just jane@malkoffandhughes.com.
Yeah, yeah. And I was looking at your website the other day. It's very nice. You guys did a good
thank
job
you.
with that. So one thing Jane and I were talking about during the commercial, and something that we, again, run into a lot and really people need to pay attention to it if you're a caregiver, and that's it. We want to talk about caregiver burnout. Is that a good term? Tell us about how that.
Oftentimes when someone is referred to me by somebody in the community they know, an elder law attorney or friends,
You're right.
they're finally seeking support because they're feeling the pressure of all they've taken on with caring for their loved one. And it's estimated that close to 90% of all people receiving care that need care are receiving it from a loved one versus a facility. It's hard
Really?
to believe, but there's a much more percentage of people receiving care from family. And often, when your family is in a facility, you're still providing a high level of care,
Yes.
even when they're in a facility.
I can speak from experience on that one.
So they come to us because they're in a state of feeling like it's more than they can handle, and they need a surrogate to help them through that. And so they would reach out to us by telephone, by email, just making an inquiry into, this is the problem I'm having, is what I'm experiencing something that you could help me with? And very quickly, from having done this for so many years, I am able to tell the person, this is what we can do next. This is what I'm thinking. This is what might help you. And that can be everything from immediate support in a crisis, referring them to community resources they did not know existed, helping them understand what life in a facility is like, if what they're experiencing in the home care situation or in a facility care situation is normal and expected. Is there something we could improve? And often when that caregiver has that sense that there's somebody that gets what I'm going through and has answers, and I can call them up and say, here's what I'm thinking, or they can call up and say, I can't handle this piece. Can you do this for me?
Right.
It just takes such a load off. It's like anything else. If you're preparing a big meal for a lot of people in your crunch time, and you have this crunch time and you're trying to figure out how to handle it.
You mean like Christmas?
Like Christmas. It's really great to have somebody that you can call up and say, hey, can you fix the salad, and can you come over at 4:00 and handle this piece, or my son's ill and I'm not good. So you have this support that comes in, but it's not just any support. It's support with that long-standing knowledge of the services that are already in the community, and reaching out to show you how to connect the dots.
Well, I think something that a lot of people, especially caregivers, don't know, that they are not alone, and that how many resources there are out there.
Yes.
And you guys are an excellent source of that.
Getting people to the right resources, and people have come in touch with many resources, but often not the one that they need. Or they've
Right.
reached out to a resource they heard provided very high quality services only to find out it didn't add up.
Right.
And so we're able to keep that guidance for them. And then supporting the caregiver and then supporting the people around the caregiver so that they understand that the caregiver is stressed out. They have a lot going on. They're doing this out of an act of love for their
Right.
friend or loved one. And how do we help the people around them to help support the situation? Because oftentimes people tend to step back because the stress levels are so high.
'Cause they don't know what to
we can
do.
help teach people what to do
Right,
to help
right,
the primary
yeah.
caregiver.
Exactly.
And relieve some of that stress.
Do you find with families taking care of their parents that it tends to be one sibling that is? I just keep seeing that over and over again. There seems to be one sibling who's doing 90% of the caregiving, and the others are kind
In the
of
majority of cases, there is one family member that's in charge of it all that people
Right.
rely on. I do come across families from time to time that have divvied up the roles pretty well.
right.
But it usually is one person who's handling most of it. And we help them figure out how to, families can break down easily under stress
Yeah.
because it's just difficult. And so it's easy to help them identify where that stress and pressure is coming from and help get them lined up with the right duties and responsibilities so that we relieve the pressure across.
Yeah.
Because when we take care of the caregivers, we take care of the client.
Yes.
I cannot ever speak strongly enough about when I meet somebody, the family is often my primary client because it's when I take care of the family that I take care of the older adult best.
Right. Right. And I just think that sometimes people don't realize how much stress is on a caregiver and how much time is involved.
Yes.
That type of
Oftentimes
thing.
the caregiver will become ill
Yes,
and
I've heard that
unable
too.
to complete the course of caregiving they started
Right.
because the stress built up over time and they didn't heed the signals.
Right. Well, and the other thing too, again, I speak from experience in working with you, is that you brought a lot of items to the table that we hadn't even thought of. That things that we didn't know we were supposed to ask, or things to look for. So
Yeah,
again,
it's a
another
specialty
reason.
in and of itself, really, and we
Well-
we love it, and that the passion with what we're with doing it is what I think makes it work so well.
Well, I agree with you on the passion. No, because you and Sharon are both very passionate about what you do, and it's great. We are going to have to wrap up here again. Time just goes so fast when
Yes, it
you're
does.
on here. But I want again to give the information, because if people are listening to this on the radio, how do they get a hold of you?
The best way is to call me directly at 317-979-3700. You can email me at jane@malcoffinhughes.com, which is the same as our website, www.malcoffinhughes.com, which
Right.
is MALKOFFANDHUGHES. Jane Malkoff and Sharon Hughes. That's Malkoff and Hughes.
Yep, there you go. Makes sense. Hey, next issue is January. Will be out, I think I saw it's going to be here around January 10th.
Wonderful.
So everybody look for that. Look for Jane's article in there on reversed roles. It's going to be caregivers. Remind me, I know
Extraordinary.
people doing extraordinary work. Am I
That's
thinking
right.
right? Hey, that's pretty good. So anyway, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year, and we will see you on January 14th at 10 o'clock right here on Hamilton County TV. Thanks. Bye-bye.